Hi, I'm R.R. Moore with a bit of trivia on what is called the Little Ice Age. Currently, we are living in a time referred to as an interglacial period. In fact, the entire time span of human civilization has happened during this current interglacial period. This is a time in between ice ages where the average global temperature goes from the cold of an ice age, warms up to temperatures consistent with the time of the dinosaurs, and then swings back down until we hit the next ice age. During this period, the rising temperatures do not happen in an orderly straight line fashion. Such a period witnesses an almost continual up and down of temperatures across the globe. Sometimes we see temperatures rise quite a bit, only to be counteracted sometime later with much colder periods. Such a vastly colder period occurred during the Little Ice Age. The Little Ice Age was a period of regionally cold conditions between roughly 1300 and 1850 AD. It lasted a lot longer than many of us realize. There were two separate, even much colder phases of the Little Ice Age. The first lasted from around 1290 and continued until the late 1400s. Then it warmed up a bit in the 1500s. The local climate turned again, with the coldest period being between 1645 and 1715. That period of this Little Ice Age is called the Maunder Minimum. The Baltic Sea froze over, as did many of the rivers and lakes in Europe. New York Harbor froze, allowing people to walk from Manhattan Island to Staten Island. The winter snows refused to melt. In Ethiopia and in much of North Africa, permanent snow was reported on the tops of mountains at levels where it does not occur today. Pack ice expanded far south into the Atlantic, making shipping to Iceland and Greenland impossible for months on end. There was widespread loss of crops, not at ice time at all. But something good did come out of the Little Ice Age: the Stradivarius violin. Everyone knows how magnificent a Stradivarius violin is. Antonio Stradivari also made harps, guitars, violas, and cellos, but the violin is the most famous. Well, as it turns out, old Antonio was living during the Little Ice Age. Specifically, he lived in Cremona, Italy. Ever since Antonio made his great violin, people have tried to discover what combination of lacquers, varnishes, resins, and or other chemicals he used to create his musical instruments, all to no avail. But one thing is known: the type tree he used for the wood to build his instruments was maple trees, and from very slow-growing trees at that. As we all learned in school, each year as a tree grows, it adds another ring of growth. The number of these rings will tell how old the tree is. 1 year, 1 ring. The spacing between the rings can tell us how fast or how slow the tree grew. The slower the tree grows, the closer the rings are together, thus the denser the wood. Trees grow faster when it's warm and slower when it's cold. The tree on the upper right grew at a fairly warm spot. Notice the widely spaced rings. The tree shown on the upper left grew in a very cold environment. The rings were close together, and it was fairly old. Many rings. Stradivari made his musical instruments during a time associated with the unusually low solar activity of the Maunder Minimum. This happened between 1645 to 1750. This minimum, as said before, was part of the Little Ice Age. This was a time of bitter cold over a long period of time, a time of dense wood in the trees of that time. The type of trees, see the picture on the upper left, maple, producing the wood Stradivari used. Many are the people who have tried in vain to recreate Stradivari's masterful work. None have succeeded. No one knows the combination of chemicals he used to finish the wood, and the trees haven't grown as dense since Stradivari's time. It's too warm now. The very best stringed musical instruments the world has known were made by Stradivari, and we can thank him and his trees and the Little Ice Age.